What's going on, guys, and welcome back. It's your boy Eileo here with another Mon review. Now this is a redo because Hana recently gotten a super evolution, and they also tweaked her skills, which across the board is just a lot better than what she was. So let's go ahead and get this party started, you guys. Alright, so we're starting off here with Dark Hana. Dark Hana is a defender type. She's coming in with 30k HP, just 2k attack, and then 3.1k defense. Defender type, her HP is fine. Defense is kind of actually a little bit low. Like, I'm not talking that she needs like 3.5k defense, but it is acceptable, so I can't complain too much. Do keep in mind that she's a dark type as well, so she does get that additional crit damage. But is her kit used for crit? Find out in the next video. Peace out, you guys. Anyways, let's take a look at her skills real quick. So for her 3-star skill, she has defense aggression, and then for her 5-star skill, she has zeal, which restores a large amount of allies SP for 3 turns. And also with her new variant lead, it's definitely made Wood Hana like the OG, like she's the gangster of freaking Water Titans. So kudos to 433 for that change. Well, let's take a look at the books real quick, and then we'll discuss. So the defense aggression gets a whopping 20% damage increase, while Zeal gets a 20% recovery up increase. Now, Dark Hana is essentially, like, word for word, she's just the dark version of Light Cupid, but Light Cupid doesn't have a super evolution, so depending on your team composition, she could also be a lot more plausible in your team, just because she can be used as a SP battery. And if you go ahead and combine this, say for instance, with a Dark Cupid, well, you have a shield going up, you have the entire squad getting SP. That means nuking things, you know, depending on what you're fighting, should be a lot more efficient, especially in terms of PvP, depending on what your team composition is, because you have, you know, almost an infinite shield, and then you just have infinite 5-star spam. So do keep that in mind as well. Other places to use her, I can't really think of. I mean, you could probably run her in Elemental Tower of Chaos because of that lead. Number 1 is super duper great, and then her having the SP as well for the entire squad could be fairly useful. The defense aggression here is just going to make her more tanky. Like, it's not hurting her at all, but I wouldn't expect like the world's best damage out of her either. But they definitely made her a lot more usable than what she was before, so I'm super stoked about that. Coming up next though, we have Light Hana, who is a tank type. She's coming in with 40k HP, 1.8k attack, and then 2.6k defense. She's a tank, which means a whole bunch of HP, which is what she has, and the attack and defense are sad face gaming, but she is a tank. She can't have everything in the world, so it makes sense. Let's go over here and take a look at her skills real quick though. So for her 3-star skill, she has HP aggression, which means she should be on triple HP. And then for her 5-star skill, she has an HP shield that lasts for 3 turns and is proportional to her own max HP, and it hits all allies. So once again, if she's not on triple HP, go ahead and just close MSL out on your phone. Especially if you're on Android, I'm not sure how iOS works. Close MSL out on your phone, hold the icon of MSL, drag it over to the trash can or the uninstall prompt, and let it go, man. But make sure you stay subscribed though. Make sure you stay subscribed, but just go ahead and do that right now. That's it. Let's take a look at the books real quick. For her HP aggression, it's just a 20% damage boost, doesn't really do anything. Recovery up gets a 25% increase in terms of potency of healing. Not bad at all either. Definitely a solid astromon. She's not my favorite in the world, but especially with her super evolution, I do feel like she is now a little bit better than Light Siren. But Light Siren does have morale boost, which kind of like coincides with her shield. She has a worse shield, but she's able to get her shield off faster than Light Hana, while Light Hana has a more potent shield, but depending on how she's built could affect her chance of getting her shield off before it's super duper useful. But this is more of just a shield based mon. Like, there's really nothing else to say here. she's just a shield-based mon. So if you need a monster, especially because you don't have Light Venus, where shielding is very, very important for you to not take damage, like, she could still be annoying in a PvP situation, but I don't think she would be as annoying as Dark Hana, just for the simple fact that Zeal means if Dark Hana doesn't die, or even if she does die but she gets Zeal off on the rest of the team, we're looking at bad news bears. But I have a Light Hana. I'd never really used her though. Like, at the point in time when I was running an aggression team for PvP back in the day, I ended up going with Light Siren over her, just for the simple fact that my Light Siren could get her shield off quite quickly. But I think she's fine. She's not super duper amazing, but she can get the job done depending on what content that you're doing, which, once again, it's mainly PvP or probably clan versus clan based for her, because there's really no use of her in a PvE situation. Moving on, next though, we have like the god of all Hanas right here. We have Wood Hana, who is a recovery type. She's coming in with 32k HP, 2.1k attack, and 2k defense. And her recovery stat, which I'm mentioning now, is pretty darn good. Obviously, because she is a recovery type, it's pretty darn good. Let's take a look at her skills real quick though. So for her 3-star skill, she has attack down, which is a 70% chance to reduce the enemy's attack for 1 turn. And then for her 5-star skill, she has defense up, which increases allies' defense for 3 turns. If you read this and you said this is totally a PvE mon, especially for getting through Tower of Chaos, you are correct. Absolutely correct. Let's take a look at her books real quick though. So attack down gets a 10% damage boost, and then it goes to 80% chance for 2 turns. And then defense up gets a effectiveness by plus 10%, and then recovery up boosts up the potency of the kills by 25%. So definitely not bad books at all, but she's without a doubt like the queen right now of just Water Titan, because she has a disconcernment lead, she has attack down to go ahead and help nerf the Water Titan's attack, and then she also has defense up to go ahead and pop up some defense up on the boys. It gets no better than that. And she has a super evolution. It gets no better than that. If you are especially interested in Titans, mainly focusing on Wood Titans, you need to have at least four Hanas. At least 4. There's some people out there with 5 of them. There's some people out there with 6. I do have 4 at Evo 3, but that's how good she is. So if you're doing Wood Titan and you don't have her at Evo 3 and you don't have at least 25,000 Hanas, congratulations, you're doing it wrong. But highly recommend it, mon. The super evolution just bumped her up. The disconcernment just bumped her up. Everything is just super duper good with this mon. And concerned to Titans. Anywhere else though, it's just like a healer. If you don't need the healer, it's no use to you. That's just how it is. Coming up next though, we have Water Hana, who is a recovery type. She's coming in with essentially the same stats as Wood Hana. 32k HP, 2.1k attack, 1.9k defense, and 3,310 recovery. So her recovery stat is super duper good, and I really like her color. Like, just as a side note, that is a good blend of colors. Her model looks very, very cool, even outside of super evolution, at least for Water Hana IMO. But let's take a look at her skills real quick. Resistance down, 100% chance to reduce the enemy's resistance for 2 turns, and then she has resilience. Nothing really appealing here to be honest. Resistance down receives a 25% damage boost, and then resilience receives a 25% recovery up boost, and then it also gets a 20% effect boost. I don't really use this one anywhere at all. I mean, it's nice that she does have resistance down on her now, depending on what you're fighting, but once again, it's just a scenario where if you need the heals, then she's probably useful for you, but if you don't need the heals, you could always bring in just a different resistance down mon on your team, because in this situation it's more of like a PvE mon. I wouldn't bring her into PvP even with that resistance down, because resilience isn't really, in my opinion, isn't really super duper useful, especially in concerns to Zeal, or bringing in a mon that's able to either seal that other mon or stun that other mon or shock that other mon, etc. So she's just there, honestly. It's just for the Astro Guide. I think earlier in Titans, before her skill change, she was a little bit more useful, but now she's just hanging out. I mean, feel free to correct me with this if I'm wrong, you guys, but I just don't see any appeal to her other than making her fodder for the other Hanas. But I could be wrong, but it is what it is. Feel free to correct me, though. And then coming up here to finish things off, we have Fire Hana, who's a recovery type. She's coming in with 30k HP, 2k attack, 2.4k defense. Okay, and then 2.8k, nearly 2.9k recovery. Slightly less recovery than the other girls, but she does have a little bit more defense and a little bit less HP, which is perfectly fine. Let's take a look at her skills real quick though. So she comes in with defense down, 80% chance for 1 turn, and then she has morale boost, which applies a morale boost buff to allies for 3 turns. With this buff, as allies will recover SP proportional to the amount of damage they deal. So morale boost is just how it's described here, just applied to all of your mons. Very, very similar to resilience and zeal, but I think zeal is the most potent out of all of them because it's guaranteed a big SP gain, versus morale boost being based on the damage of your team that you're using here. So this could be interesting, but it could also be very bad, especially if you're running tankier mons where damage isn't really their forte. So their SP gain isn't going to be super duper amazing at all. And they definitely changed her as well, because she, I want to say in the past, she was a lot less useful. Not youthful. I can't speak for whatever reason. But defense down receives a 10% damage boost. It also goes to what, 90% for 2 turns? Yep, 90% for 2 turns. Morale boost receives a 25% up boost to the recovery, so more potent heals on that. And then the morale boost will be a little bit more effective when it is used. Now, where could you use this mon at? If you need a defense down mon, I could honestly see people trying to run her in Tower of Chaos, because not only can she debuff, but she can also give XP to the whole entire squad, because you may not have a Dark Hana, which is perfectly reasonable. You might not have a Light Cupid, which is perfectly reasonable, but you may need a healer, and she can get the job done for you by making sure that the squad can get their 5-star skill off a little bit faster. So I wouldn't say that she's like super duper bad at all. She's definitely not as appealing as the other Hanas in my opinion, but that's pretty much it. I mean, once again, if you don't need a healer for whatever content that you're doing, there's really no uses for the Hana, but especially if you're big in Titans, I could definitely see where Hanas are very, very useful at. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here with the Eileo version of the Hana tier list, just in terms of usefulness, and it's without any surprise to anyone, Wood Hana is number 1 on this list. She beats out all of the other mons because she is the most used mon out of all the Hanas, because she gets used every single day in my Titan compositions, and she's not just in my water composition. I also run her in, I believe, either Light or Dark Titan, and maybe somewhere else. Maybe somewhere else as well. I actually think I use her in Wood Titan as well, just because she's that good. So number 1 would be Wood Hana. Number 2 would be Dark Hana in my opinion. Number 3 is going to be Light. Number 4, I would argue and say that I would prefer, actually I would say number 4 is kind of tied in between Fire and Water, because they're both not super duper useful unless you need them, but their 5-star skills, resilience may be a little bit more less punishing than morale boost depending on your team composition. So you could actually say that Water is going to be 4, and then not Wood, but Fire is going to be 5. But this is all just one man's opinion. This is all just one man's advice. You can feel free to follow it. You don't have to follow it at all. It's perfectly fine and reasonable. But as always, you guys, make sure you're just running your non-aggressive Light and Dark Hanas, like the RGB. Make sure you just have them on HP defense recovery. Super duper easy to gem those girls up and make sure that they stay efficient in doing what they're doing. For the other aggressors, just build them dependent on what aggression that they have. And that is pretty much it, you guys. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely hope this video helped. Go ahead and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And yep, that's pretty much it. See ya.